So, I really hate that I have to make this video. Um, so today is Saturday, August 9th, and on Thursday I had the city ordinance officer stop by to inform me that he was aware that I had exotic animals and that it was against the city ordinances that were adopted in, I think he said 2013. Well, fact is that I knew about that because when my wife and I decided to move our family here 5 years ago, I had to sit down and a good conversation with the previous administrator, who I'm not going to name him, but anywho, him and I had an understanding that if I were to move here, I would be bringing animals. And we made an agreement that I could have my animals here in town as long as everything that I had locked cages and that I agreed to inspections at any time. Now, granted, that was 5 years ago. They've never came. They've never done an inspection. But as you can see, this is Diane, my Nile crocodile. That's Jack, the other Nile crocodile. But you can see the enclosures are locked on both doors. You know, that door has a lock on it. You know, these guys have been out here for almost 2 years and it's never been an issue. They've never escaped. They've never even tried. Anywho, what I'm trying to say is that the city is now forcing me to get rid of all of my exotic animals. Snakes, lizards, the crocs, the turtle, everything. So today is the last day that I will be filming anything reptile related. And we are going to have to rehome all these animals. And luckily, I've got a friend in the hobby, runs a pretty successful party business with his animals. I love him to death. He's going to come. He's going to take the animals. We haven't really came to any agreement on price or anything like that. It doesn't matter. Fact is that they've got to go. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is pay attention to your ordinances and know that city administrations change and that they have the ability to not uphold the agreements of the past administration. So if you have an ordinance, play it safe. Okay? These animals have been my life for 26 years. I've been keeping animals for 26 years. And it's all gone. And now, granted, I did largely get out of reptiles earlier this year in January. But I kept the animals that meant the most to me. And so now I've got roughly 20 animals, whereas back then I had roughly 120 animals. So it's painful to see them go, but also I think it's going to be, I think it'll give me time to recharge my batteries, to find a way to push forward and to move along with the hobby in a way that doesn't hurt my pocketbook and doesn't directly affect city ordinances. But on the same note, I am going to be looking for a new place to live, and that is going to be coming as soon as I can get it. If I can get a place out in the country, there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they could say. But I will be back. You know, I will have all this again. It's just now is not the right time. So I am going to be in compliance with the city, I am going to take the necessary steps to also try to have that ordinance thrown out. Because I live in a small town. We've got a population of 2,200, and I know that there is probably more snakes in this town, more reptiles in the industry, in the hobby, than there are people in this town. Because nobody has just one snake. Nobody has just one tree frog. Nobody has just one turtle. Okay? I've been keeping reptiles for 26 years. I've lived in Morenci all of my childhood and moved back here 5 years ago. So there is a large community of reptile keepers here in this small town of 2,200 people. And if they're going to start cracking down, we need to stand up, and we need to band together, and we need to get that city council to remove that ordinance, because who's it going to hurt? They're reptiles. Are they worried that these crocodiles, is that crocodile going to be able to establish itself here in southern Michigan? There's no way. That's an African species. Africa's hot. It doesn't have winters like we have where these guys are from. Yes, they are a very cold-tolerant crocodilian species, but not frozen in a lake for fucking 5 months a year tolerant. You know, like, they're not going to be able to establish. So if they're worried about there being some sort of invasive issues, well, sorry guys, this is southern Michigan, it's not Florida, this isn't the Everglades. I would say the vast majority of reptiles in the hobby they're mostly imported from Africa, Asia, or South America. Very warm, humid climates. They're not going to be able to establish themselves here in Michigan. It's fairly unlikely, and I would say borderline impossible. But you know, these people who've never read a reptile book, they have never watched Steve Irwin. I don't know. Everybody's watched Steve Irwin, but they have no common sense when it comes to where we live and the animals we keep. They just it's fear. So you don't like snakes. Because you don't like snakes, you don't want anyone in your city to have snakes. That is an infringement on personal rights. Get fucked. Anywho, I gotta calm down. Yes, it does annoy me, but I will be in compliance because it may not feel like the right thing to do. But I believe being in compliance and moving forward peacefully and trying to do something for the community, rallying other keepers to band together to get this thrown out would be a far better move than being loud about it. So I don't want anyone to jump on the local ordinance officer. He's just doing his job. He didn't write the ordinance. You know, it's the city administrator who's having him enforce it. You know, that's and again, don't jump on him either. He didn't write the ordinance. He's just new and he's by the book, and the book says no. So we got to get this thrown out, and we can move forward that way, because this isn't just affecting citizens. This is also affecting the schools. For 5 years, I've been doing educational displays at the schools, and now I can't do that. Also, we have lizards that live at the school. You know, we've got bearded dragons, we've got geckos, there's snakes. They're all classroom pets. But the city ordinance says no persons nor business shall harbor exotic animals and whatever. It's stupid, but it is something that I think if we pull together, we can get that moved. They may not ever budge on crocodiles. They may not ever budge on alligators or caiman, which is fine. You know, that's a very niche thing. Sure, it shouldn't be there. But you know, corn snakes, bearded dragons, red-eared sliders, any turtle. I mean, what the hell, guys? Like, that makes 0 sense. None at all. But yeah, today is the last day that I will have the crocodiles. My buddy's coming over tonight. We're going to tear out these enclosures. We're going to drain these ponds, and we're going to send them to his place, because that is the safest bet. So, anyways, this is a long video. If you stayed to the end, that's awesome. Thank you. But I'm going to end it now. So, Tail Whip Exotics, Jay Pike is signing off for probably the last time. Later, guys.